We might just do this without the intro because now iTunes is frozen. All right, cool. That's what happens when you update your computer, folks. It'll probably start playing in the middle. There it is.
Hello?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
You're listening to the only podcast that admits they might know what they are talking about.
Sounds like something a guy in a van would tell me.
This is We Might Know Sports.
I love you.
What were my options again? Sorry. Come on! With Cory.
I hope everyone has a ball.
Kevin. Don't listen to Stefan and his corrupt rules. And Stefan.
Pacers versus the Mavs, which is believe is also tonight. Stop, damn you, Siri. Stop. I've never once called you and actually wanted to talk.
You said Pacers.
Pacers. There's a no-hitter right now, bottom of the seventh. Oh, never mind. No longer a no-hitter.
Wow! You know it's bad when Kevin's correcting people on their pronunciation of names. You know you're in trouble. You, sir, are god-awful.
That's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook. It's time! And here we go.
Wait. Trubisky sucks.
All right. Episode 144. After what, half month off?
Yeah, about. Yeah.
Welcome once again to We Might Know Sports. Joined with Cory this week. No Stefan. No Bill.
Fathers only club.
Yeah, apparently. Dads only. Two dads podcast.
Two dads and a dork. That's the name of our show now.
Ooh, I like that one. I was thinking about trying to rename it Two Dads and Stefan. But I like that. Two dads and a dork.
I don't think Stefan will appreciate that one.
We'll pass it by Stefan. I'm sure he'll love it. All right. So, when we last left you, things were happening. No. Yeah. So I had a baby boy. He is healthy as a horse. Passed all his tests. And now we no longer live in the hospital or doctor's office anymore. So, yay.
Perfect. How does Shay have a lot of time off?
She is off until at least the middle of December. He came a little early, so she might have to make up some days, but I don't think so. I think she's good to go.
Good.
She works for a pretty cool company, so family company usually they're a little more lenient, especially when they come visit and they see how cute he is, you know. That is one thing, you know. I know I'm biased, so I will not agree or disagree, but people keep telling me, and they're like, you know, I know people say this about babies, but you really have a cute kid, which is starting to make me think I don't have a cute kid because it's subconsciously like, well, are you telling me that? No. But you know, there are those kids where it's just like, oh, just like, whoa, like. Give him a year or two to mature out. Maybe it'll look a little better. Or she. So.
I've seen some babies that aren't particularly attractive, but then they become toddlers and they're cute toddlers. So.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of those too.
Yeah.
What was it? It is interesting. Like, I've never been one to have a pain. In my body, and maybe it's just because it's part of fatherhood and like being a parent is like you get all these weird pains, but like I get this weird back pain now, I think from holding them.
Probably.
So I gotta build up my muscles while he's still at 7 pounds before he gets to like 15 or 20.
Yeah, especially when they're like that big and you have to carry that what do you want to, not car seat, but the whatever it's called.
Bassinet?
Well, like their car seat, how it locks in, but then you can release it and carry it.
Yeah, that's car seat. I'll call it the car seat.
Yeah, the car seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing gets heavy after a while.
Yeah. Well, there's a trick. how to hold it. I tried it, and it looked
Do
like...
you put the handle right here and then put your
Yeah.
arm underneath the front of it? Yeah.
But it looks like he's like bobbling when I'm carrying him like that, so I don't like doing that as much.
It does work. It is better than just holding it, but
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
yeah.
I will say, I don't know. I never liked baby cries, but for some reason his is like funny to me. I don't know.
I found like when they're newborns, it's like really weak because they don't have the lung strength yet, so the cry isn't that bad. Like you're like, oh, it's not bad. Like baby's crying, isn't a big deal. But then they get to be like 5-6 months and they build up their strength, and then they really can wail, and then you're like, oh, stop, please stop.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Thanks. No, everyone's doing good. Mom's doing good. Baby's doing good. Dad's doing good. Luckily, he started a class like the same week he was born. And luckily that was like an easier class for me because it was based off of stuff I had already learned. So it's one of those like ones I don't have to do all the readings for and still be able to pass. So that worked out. Sports wise,
It's been busy to say the least.
it's been rough for me. The only bright note, Sounders, MLS finals again. Third time in 4 years.
And Syracuse like ranked 5th in the ACC.
Yeah, well, you know, some people don't believe they belong there, but you know.
Oh. I'm not going to say too much because he's not here to defend himself, so I'm just going to leave that alone.
Yeah, I just like how he helped prove my own point. What else? Let's see here. Your belief of Syracuse football, do you still believe it after 2 weeks?
No, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm off. I was holding on to the bandwagon. I was the last one.
Yep.
I let go.
It's basketball season now. That's all you got to say. If you're a Syracuse football.
Because I moved down here and I wear like Syracuse hoodies and stuff into work. So everyone assumes, and rightfully so, I would assume too, that I'm like a diehard Syracuse football and basketball fan. And they're just ragging on me about Syracuse football. And I take it because I don't really feel like explaining why I'm not. Like, I'm an Ohio State fan. It's too difficult. So
Yeah.
I just go, yeah, we aren't good this year. I know, man.
You know. Always next year.
Yeah.
That's just like me and my Seahawks t-shirt I wear at Starbucks. People are like, oh, you excited for the game? It's like, not your game. No. I just wear this because it's free. That's all I say. Although yesterday for Halloween I got to wear my Tampa Bay jersey, so I got that.
Nice.
Perfect timing for me. It was also
Everyone at work does know I'm a Bengals fan, so that's not working out too well for me.
I will say when I got back this week to work, one of the first things my boss sits there and goes, he's like, yeah, I got tickets to the Bucks game. It's like, thanks for rubbing that in. Like, I'd like to go still, you know, got an extra. So, what else we have? Tampa Bay still sucks, yeah. Jameis Winston threw 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles, something like that last weekend. So we'll talk more about that when we get to NFL talk, maybe.
Bengals making moves at quarterback too.
Woo! What was it?
End of an era. 8.5 years of one guy that I did not like. I'm so thankful. Someone had to pull the trigger. It's about time.
Is this going to be like a Lossman situation?
Probably.
Was it Lossman?
Yeah.
That threw 4.
All this is a tryout. They're basically giving them 8 games. They know it's a lost season to see if they need to draft a quarterback with the number 1 or 2 pick overall.
Yeah. Big weekend. Let's see here. Last weekend without college basketball, so we'll talk about that next week.
NBA started up while we've been gone. Baseball wrapped up in a weird series where the away team won every single game.
First time ever in the 4 major sports. What else? Oh, the UFC 244 was on, or then it was off. Now it's back on again.
Super excited.
Yeah.
In boxing, a huge fight also. That's been the big debate. Who's going to get the better ratings? Is boxing or UFC? Because they rarely go head-to-head with big fights like they're doing. But this weekend they are. Canelo, who's probably the biggest draw in all of boxing, is fighting Kovalev. He's moving up 2 weight classes to fight at light heavyweight, which sounds insane, and it kind of is, because Kovalev has killed 2 people in the ring. He's very heavy-handed. We'll see what happens. And then you have, obviously, the Masvidal-Diaz fight. I have a feeling UFC is going to pull in better ratings, but Canelo has all of Mexico behind him. So
but the thing is you never know with the ESPN setup now.
Right.
You haven't heard any of the ratings until... Oh, they would do that. Sorry, I'm watching...
Canelo's on DAZN, and they don't really share what they do, I don't think.
Yeah, so... I'm just watching ESPN's betting show, and they just showed the preview, and of course they do the straight out of Compton type logo for the Masvidal versus Diaz.
I wish I had the money to buy that fight because I really, really want to see it.
I will send you some links. How about that? I have a pretty reliable link source now. Apparently Discord, the back end channels of the internet, pretty reliable. So
okay, sounds good.
Ever since, it's funny. I can't remember one of the fights this year. I was easily able to find a link on Google through my normal ways, and then it June, I want to say, maybe it was May, it switched to where it was crap. You couldn't find anything other than junk. And then I stumbled upon, I kept Googling different things, and I stumbled upon the Discord channel. And I'm like, all right, cool. Since we're talking about UFC, you want to just jump into our...
Yeah. Let's do it, because we have everyone's picks in for that, right?
Yeah.
You want me to go over mine and my reasoning, or are you going to?
You
first?
Can go over yours, because I didn't really have much of a reasoning.
All right, let's go with the first fight, Cory Anderson, Johnny Walker. Somewhat newcomers. Walker is known for his heavy hands. Cory Anderson, his losses have mostly been by knockout. So a lot of people are going with Walker for that reason, because of the knockouts, and me included. So I went with Walker. And the second, Lewis versus Ivanok, I believe. I really think this is just a get-back fight for Lewis. I don't even know how quickly he's going to KO Ivanok, but I went with the first because I think it could be fast. Let's skip right over that and go to Stephen Thompson, who now I'm in his home state, and he doesn't actually live that far from me. The Wonder Boy, he's a big favorite down here.
Wonder Boy Thompson.
He is from Simpsonville, South Carolina, where my parents live. He is fighting Vicente Luque. I went with Thompson by decision because his fights generally seem to go that way. I see 3 people went with decisions. We're all on kind of the same wavelength. I'm just hoping. I kind of like Stephen Thompson, so I'm just hoping he can pull that out. I'm not sold that he will, but moving on, Gastelum Till, probably the second best fight on the card. Kind of excited for that fight as well. I went with Till by decision. Gastelum could easily win that. I really think that's a 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
I'm going with Till because I feel like he has less wear and tear on him.
A lot of people were saying like home field advantage too for Till, or to get back, I should say.
Yeah.
I think I remember hearing about during some of the previews this week.
And then I have Masvidal. Then I have Masvidal versus Diaz. I went with Masvidal by decision. I not so sure Masvidal will win, but sorry guys, parenthood.
Dad life. Two dads and a dork.
I was prepared. Here, go watch your show. Okay. I went with Masvidal by decision. I have a feeling, though, this fight's probably going to be a KO one way or the other. I think they're going to go at it. There's obviously a dislike for each other. Yeah, that's really all I have to say on that. I hope Nate wins, but Masvidal's been the more active fighter and fought better competition as of late. So
yeah, he just seems to study his opponents really well.
Very well, even off their body language.
Yeah. Anytime you're able to read an opponent like that, like Ben Askren, and just find something small like that, it's just amazing.
You had a couple different picks. You went with Gastelum.
Gastelum, I wanted to be a little different. I didn't want to copy all your picks. Like you said, it was a 50-50 fight, and I think Gastelum's got a chance. He just seems to be like that name you hear as a winner. I did no research. I was just going off of like what I remember between the two, so that's why I picked Gastelum. I was like, Till. I feel like Till's been slumping. I think 2 in a row, I believe. I remember hearing losing, so I just...
Yeah, he's lost his last 2 fights.
Yeah, I just like Gastelum, so that's why I went with Gastelum. Thompson, he always seems to... He hasn't won in a while, though, has he?
No, I know. That's why that's why I said I'm hoping he wins, because I actually think Luke probably will, or however you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm. I think Thompson wins by submission, honestly, but I gave him the decision just in case, because it is only 3 rounds. And
right.
then Lewis, like you said, probably going to knock him out. I went with the second just because I feel like he wears him down in the first and then knocks him out in the first minute in the second is my prediction. And then... I don't know. I have a hard time picking Johnny Walker right now. I know he's the name to go against John Jones, but I just feel like Corey Anderson is going to stop him. I don't see that ending in anything other than a decision if Johnny does win. So that's just my feelings. They've been really wrong this year, so I would go against everything I just picked. So it's probably going to be Diaz by knockout, Till by knockout. Oh, crap. All Ben's picks, basically.
I see Ben's just rooting for a super exciting card.
Yeah. And I feel like Stefan's just mailing it in at this point.
I don't know why. He has a chance for second.
Yeah.
I know he mailed it in NASCAR. I notice he's just taking whoever I say is going to win the race.
That's one of the reasons why I couldn't do my second pick like you did in NASCAR. Let's jump right into NASCAR. I had a little rough outing last week, or the week before. We haven't been here for 2 weeks. So Logano got me 34. Brought me back in.
Yeah, you won that week.
Yeah, brought me back in, and then Elliott let me down with a 4. And
yeah, he crashed early in one of his best tracks.
Uh-huh.
That was a little disheartening for me just because I'm an Elliott fan, and I wanted to see him go to the Final 4. Now he has to win a race, so I went all in on him this week because he has to win. He has to get a win. He has to win Texas or Phoenix, or he's out. So I'm all in on Elliott. I know he has to do something. Hopefully his team can pull it off.
Hopefully.
You went with Kyle Busch. Obviously a strong pick, one of the best drivers.
I went with Kyle because the other guy I want to pick, and I'm not going to throw his name out there. I will just say you've picked him. It's Stefan that hasn't, so that limits the list down for you.
Okay.
And you may have picked him recently. I'll just leave it at that because I know Stefan does pay attention sometimes. We'll talk more off air. How about that?
Alrighty.
Because I obviously you can't pick him. It's Stefan. I don't want Stefan to be that dick that he is and just come in and whoop from right out from under me.
Stefan, like we said, seems to semi have mailed it in. He took Joey Logano, who I have a feeling will win Texas. Joey needs a win too. He hasn't won all Chase.
Mm-hmm.
He's staying up there in the points though, but he's due. So that's why I went with him. Rooting for Elliott, but have a feeling Joey Logano will win the race. Our points totals right now, like Kevin just said, it used to be close, but the 4 really hurt Kevin. There's over 100-point gap now. I'm at 412, he's at 295, and Stefan at 231. All the smack talk of going wire to wire to Stefan is biting him in the ass, and he could end up losing by a lot.
I just like how contentious it was going into 10 weeks ago pretty much, and now it's just an afterthought. I feel like
it was interesting because this was the first year we gave both second and third place 50 points, so there's only a 50-point spread.
Mm-hmm.
And the lead has gotten a little bit crazy.
You seem to have found your stride at the right time, basically.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Because
if you look at the last few weeks, starting from New Hampshire, you see all my green.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's been hot through the Chase, too.
Yeah. You took Stefan's always get 30 from earlier this season and made it always get 40s. Pretty much, except 2 weeks. So it's very hard to compete with that. I think I did that last year. That's how I got back in it and finished second.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. Maybe next year with the bonus points for winning would.
Yeah, next year we'll change it up a little bit because Stefan and I only have 2 winner picks and you have 4, and I do think there should be some. I mean, even if we gave you 10 points extra for each one, and you had 40 extra points, I'd still have the lead, but at least it'd be more doable for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's only right.
And more beneficial, too. Like, what's the point of picking a winner?
Well, look at it this way. It is so hard to pick a winner. On the right side of the bracket is Cory's guess, and I'm allowed to pick whoever I want every single week.
Yeah.
And I still only got 5 right. You got 4 right with limited picks. Is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't take Kyle Busch every single week. Yeah. So to have 4 right doing that is pretty good.
Moving on to the NFL. Things happened. Little hard to get excited about NFL other than my fantasy football team, which I would like to point out on air that Stefan lost to me once again. The streak is back. I still find it funny. I don't know what it is. I think other than last year or the year before, the last 2 times I've faced Stefan, maybe, he hasn't beaten me. Like, I remember rubbing that in his face. Like, no matter how bad I did, I always beat him. So it's back, and I'm happy about that. Considering I did it with my backups.
That is good.
Mm-hmm.
You're definitely having a good season. There's 3 people in our league at 7-1, you being one of them.
And I'm actually scoring points too. That's the little...
Yeah. I have a losing record and I'm not scoring, so it's safe to say I have one of the worst teams. After Yahoo saying I had the best team with an A. Draft.
Yeah. That's why you don't listen to Yahoo.
Mm-hmm.
Start who you think you need. Alright, well, this is taking forever to load, so let me pull up the schedule then over here.
I have it right here.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
So we opened up the week with 49ers Cardinals. I don't know a soul that really thought the Cardinals were going to win, except me and Stefan preseason wise.
Yeah.
That game I wasn't excited about. The 49ers defense is super legit, and I'm not sold that Kyler Murray is ever going to be anything, to be honest. Even though he had a decent game, I'm not feeling it. Next, you have the London game, Texans Jaguars.
I am not waking up at 6:30 for this one.
Game is kind of interesting. Texans on a losing streak. I think they've only won 1 out of their last 3, something like that. Anyways, Jaguars, I mean, they looked good against the Jets, but that's the Jets. They have a real test coming to town. The only reason I want to watch that game is in my fantasy matchup, there are 8 players for both our teams. There's 8 players combined in that game, so that's a huge game for us. Then we move on to the Redskins-Bills. That's a trash game. Both teams aren't very good offensively. Bills are good defensively.
We were supposed to have a Bills minute, but that never came through.
Do any of us think that the Bills aren't going to win?
I don't know what Stefan's picks are.
So moving on, we have Titans-Panthers. The Panthers play another good defense, 2nd week in a row. The 49ers felt the need to embarrass them last week. Kyle Allen was putrid, bringing the chance of Cam Newton back, which is what I like to hear. Having said that, I did pick the Panthers to win because there's just something a little bit off with the Titans offense, and the Panthers defense is actually good itself. So it should be interesting. And the Panthers probably have the best player that isn't a quarterback on their team. So in Christian McCaffrey. Then we have Vikings-Chiefs. Originally, I would pick the Chiefs, but they're without Patrick Mahomes and some of their offensive linemen. The Vikings have a good defense, and they have been running the ball down people's throats, and the Chiefs' defense can't stop the run. Seems like a recipe for disaster for the Chiefs. I like the Vikings. Jets-Dolphins, you can put this game right in the garbage can.
This is like the one where I'm like, man, I have to have it up on my four screen just because all the other 2 are on local TV.
Yeah, I won't be watching that, and I don't care who wins. It has 0 implications other than if the Dolphins win, I hope the Bengals tank and go 0-16 so we get the first pick and can make a decision. Bears-Eagles got more interesting because the Eagles were able to go into Buffalo against a really good defense and blast them away. Making me totally baffled at what Eagles we're looking at week to week. The Bears have a good defense, but Trubisky has been awful. I told you guys Trubisky sucks. It's continuing this year.
Last week, what was it? I think he threw for like 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They still ended up losing because they played it safe.
Yeah. Then we have Colts Steelers that can go in the trash can with the Jets and Dolphins. Steelers almost lost to the Dolphins, so let's just keep it at that. And we're rolling on. We have Bucks Seahawks. I'm sure you're interested in that game, right?
Yeah. I will laugh.
Is that
I will laugh if Tampa Bay wins. How about that?
If Tampa Bay wins, they would have wins over the Seahawks, the Rams, and who else that was good?
The Panthers.
Panthers. Making them just as baffling as the Eagles at that point.
Sounds like last year when they beat the Eagles, the Saints, and someone else early on.
Yeah. If they do that, I have no idea what to expect because the Bucs defense actually isn't bad, and when Winston gets hot, he can get hot and make games interesting.
The problem is he's too much in his head lately.
Yeah. He has the weapons. Weapons are there.
God, and he uses them. What was it? He was like top 5 in touchdowns. The only problem is he's also the number 1 in interceptions. So
yeah, he's a gunslinger to say the least.
He's kind of like I am on Madden. I noticed that because I started my own like quarterback as the Bucks quarterback, and I have 26 touchdowns and 26 interceptions. So it's just like.
Having said that, we're going into a matchup that I find interesting. The Lions-Raiders are kind of those 50-50 teams. It's in Oakland. The Lions are going to be without Tracy Walker, which is their stud safety this week. I don't know who's going to win that. I went with the Lions because I believe in Stafford over Derek Carr. But I don't really believe in Patricia over Gruden, so it's kind of a wash. Who do you got?
I'm going Lions just because it's very hard for me to pick the Raiders right now. After last year's bet, I'm not on board for Raiders.
What are they, 3-4 right now?
Let me see. I got their 3-4.
What are the Lions?
3-1.
Okay. Yeah, that's should be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, next game will not be interesting, I don't believe. The Browns are in dire need of a win. The Broncos are without Flacco. He's out for the rest of the year. So that makes the Broncos even worse than they already are, I would assume.
Or maybe they'll be better, like look at Carolina.
Maybe they'll be better. We'll see. I'm going with the Browns, though, because I don't know what this quarterback can do. I believe his last name is Allen as well, the new player that's going to be playing. Browns, even though they have their own issues.
I was able to update Stefan's 49ers Cardinals pick. He did pick the 49ers. I don't know the rest of his, so we'll have to grab those.
He's all on the 49ers D this year anyways. He loves that Jimmy G pulls in the porn stars.
You know, we will see how they do. They have the Saints, the Packers, Cardinals again, and then the Seahawks too.
So the schedule gets real finally.
Yeah.
Next game, sorry Shay, but your Chargers have not been good.
Oh, she gave up on them like 2 weeks ago.
They had a chance to beat the Titans, and they fumbled on the 1 yard line last week.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, excuse me.
They beat.
And I don't think it's going to get any easier against
they
the
beat
Packers
the Bears
defense.
last week.
I don't think it'll get easier against the Packers. Packers defense looks real. Their Packers offense looks real. Kudos to the new coach, and I believe the youngest coach now in the whole league, younger than McVay. Packers look good.
I think Joe's mailing in his college books. He just sent me his.
Okay.
He said left side, so all the away teams.
Interesting. Then the game of the week, in my opinion. Patriots-Ravens.
Sunday night.
At first, I couldn't really put my finger on who the second best team in the AFC was. You guys did tell me you believed the Ravens had a chance. I wasn't a believer at first, but over the last few weeks, I've become one. I'm only going with the Ravens because the Patriots have the best defense in the whole league this year, kind of quietly. No one's talking about it. They have the 3 top league leaders in interceptions all on the same team. Devin McCourty with 5, Gilmore with 3, Jamie Collins with 3, meaning it's really hard to pass the ball against them. But what does Lamar Jackson do? He runs the ball well. So I don't know if they'll be able to stop that. And Mark Ingram, I believe the Ravens will control the clock, which is something the Patriots like to do. It could be a low-scoring affair, honestly. It could be a drag-them-out game, but I'm going with the Ravens because it's in Baltimore. And I just think Lamar Jackson's the X factor. And I told you guys I don't believe in Brady or Drew Brees this year. Cowboys-Giants, I think, is not interesting at all. The Cowboys should get back on track against an easy defense. That's my rounding out.
I'm just hoping the Cowboys defense doesn't do to Jones what happens to me in Madden all the time. I get sacked like 12 times a game.
The Cowboys defense hasn't looked stellar this year, making it could be a high-scoring game.
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see. More points the better for me. Get that playoff lock.
Me too.
What was it? 8 wins? 8 wins and you're in the playoffs, we were saying?
Oh, yeah.
All right. 1 more win. That's all I need. I might tank the rest of the season just so I can get an easy schedule again next year.
Perfect.
Stay in that bottom division.
We have 2 good teams on bye this week, the Rams and the Saints, and then 2 really bad teams in the Falcons and the Bengals.
Combine, 1 win there?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Have we done college football yet?
No.
All right. Moving right on to college football. I will wait for that to load.
Can you hold on 1 second? I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's fine.
You can start.
Okay. Last week, Auburn lost to LSU in a close one, 23-20. We all picked LSU, so that worked out for us. And then Duke lost to UNC. Stefan lost that one. North Carolina is a team that's very hard to predict right now. Unfortunately for Stefan, he went with Duke. I think the biggest surprise was Notre Dame, Michigan. Everyone had written off Michigan, and I was one of them. Cory did go with Michigan. 45-14 was the final. Not even close in this one. Kind of helped Cory go 4-1. With the other game, South Carolina versus Tennessee. Tennessee had been struggling earlier this year. South Carolina coming off of a big win over Georgia. That did not carry over to this game. With Stefan getting the 1 right in Tennessee. Wisconsin, Ohio State wasn't even close. Wisconsin just...
Let's
I think
stop it right there. Do you believe that Ohio State is the best team in football right now?
No. Honestly, I like LSU. I feel like LSU. It's LSU, Ohio State, Alabama, and Clemson right now in the playoffs.
I believe that too, and I believe in that order. I think Ohio State, then LSU, then Alabama, then Clemson.
It's really going to be interesting to see what happens with the SEC in the coming weeks because Alabama still has to play LSU, and Alabama also has Auburn, who's always a thorn in their side. And then they got the championship game against probably Florida or Georgia. So there's no walk-ins there. I think Georgia's done. I don't see Georgia making it in unless they win out, which I don't see them doing. And did we pick that game? Yes. All right. I'm picking Florida in that one. You're going Georgia. I mean, that one, 60% Georgia, but that's fine.
I don't like to take road teams either, but I think Georgia needs a get-back win to get back in the conversation. So I think that is their...
This game is played in a neutral stadium, too, so it's not like it's played in Jacksonville.
So I think that could be the key win they're looking for. I'm also a Fromm believer.
Jacob Fromm. He hasn't looked as good this year as he has in last year as a freshman.
No, he hasn't.
Utah, Washington. No love for the home team in this game so far. Maybe Stefan will jump on.
Only ESPN is loving him.
I just couldn't pull the trigger just based off of what Washington does against teams that are actually decent this year.
Yeah.
And then SMU, Memphis, this game. I believe SMU is one of the last 8 teams undefeated.
Yeah, and they're currently ranked 15th.
This is in Memphis. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I just want SMU to do good after seeing that 30 for 30. It's kind of nice to see them back winning games again.
I went with Memphis because they've been good lately, like last year, and now they're good again this year. I'm just going with the proven product.
They're 5-1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last year they gave UCF all they could handle in the bowl.
Let's see. Who'd they lose to, though? That's my question. Let's find out. They lost at Temple by 2, so. Oh, they beat Mississippi. Wow, look at that. Decent win. How is Temple? Oh, they're 5-3. That's interesting.
Temple has another decent win this year.
They beat Maryland.
Yeah. Temple's a very interesting team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they're up and down because they got smoked by SMU. So the next week after beating Memphis. So we'll see.
So there's your common opponent. We'll see what happens.
What happens when they face each other? Miami, Florida State. I just am not sold on Florida State just because they beat Syracuse. I want to see more. I'm not.
I went with Florida State because if you look at their last 5 games, they've been absolutely dominant at home.
Miami's defense, though, is what makes me wonder. Maybe I'll be more of a believer after this game. Show me something more. I see it being like 14-13 or something final. And then Hawaii, Fresno State. I have no idea why Joe took Fresno State. It's in Hawaii.
It's in Hawaii. Hawaii is actually considered one of the top offenses in all of the FBS. It's the only reason I went with Hawaii, but they historically have had problems with Fresno State, which could be what Joe's picking up on.
What conference is that? WCC or something like that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so that's college football this week.
Right now, the gap has been closed. Did you talk about that?
Oh, we briefly discussed it. Maybe I
Joe's
talked.
Only,
maybe
Joe's
I
only
talked with
2
it
games
more.
away.
I think I talked more with Joe because Joe sat there and was like, "Stefan's in the lead." So I was like, "Yeah."
It's actually it's really close. Stefan has 29. Let's just go with the wins. Stefan has 29 wins. Joe has 27. I have 26. Kevin has 25. So we're all neck and neck.
Depending on what Stefan picks this week, we could see some separation with the way Cory's picking.
Yeah, this week is going to be interesting because Joe picked 3 different than me.
Mm-hmm.
You picked 3 different than me. So there's going to be some separation for sure.
Or we just stay together with our 3 and 2s.
Yeah.
All right. Any other sports we got to cover?
Do you want to wait for Stefan to do NBA?
Sure.
Because that would be the only one.
All right. NBA started. Golden State's in the shitter.
Steph Curry broke his hand.
Embiid got into a fight a week after he said he was done trash talking.
And the big games so far, there's been 3
the Clippers are the real deal.
Performances, I would say. Kyrie Irving opening night for Brooklyn dropped 50 in a loss. Then Antonio Davis and the West leading Lakers at 3-1. Antonio Davis had 40 points and 20 rebounds. Wowzers. That's an amazing game. And then the other night, in a 4-quarter game, no overtime, the Rockets scored 159 points and the Wizards scored 156. Harden had 59. He can score, we all know that. But those 3 games, I would say individual performances, pretty impressive. If you want to know about the rookies, RJ Barrett, in my opinion, is kind of leading the way. Shockingly, because I thought he looked horrible in Summer League. But he looks good now. And he's shooting 43% from 3. He's making NBA moves. He actually looks like a veteran player out there. We all know his pedigree, though. He's worked with the Canadian team. He's been mentored by Steve Nash specifically, so I know he's been coached the right way.
And the Knicks are still 1-4.
Yeah. Shout out to PJ Washington, too, who's leading the Charlotte Hornets in scoring as their rookie. He's playing very well. On a bad team, but nonetheless.
I mean, in the East, you only got to finish 500 in order to make the playoffs. You got Philadelphia 4-0, last of the undefeateds. Everyone else has at least a loss. Jazz leading the West Conference 4-1. With Minnesota 3-1, look at you.
Yeah.
Houston Rockets.
That's why I'm rocking it. I'm excited. Let's go.
Any big surprises?
Yeah. After seeing Sacramento build the last couple years and they just missed the playoff cut, I am shocked that they're as bad as they are right now.
0-5.
That's been a huge surprise for me. And Dallas, the duo of Porzingis and Doncic is working. I've been impressed with that. They play the Lakers, I believe, tonight, I think, at 9:30 Eastern time. So I'm going to tune into that game and see what happens.
ESPN.
Yeah, that's an interesting game to me.
All right. And that is it for sports. You digging this year's This Is Us?
Yeah, I'm all caught up on it. That's right. I told you I would be when we talked. The only thing that threw me this year is I like Toby and Kate, so to see a little bit of friction and stuff going on, and I kind of know where it's leading. Is hard to watch when you're invested in the characters. I don't want it to go down that path.
Yeah. But having the knowledge of what's happened in the future, you kind of can tell some things. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if we talked about it, how Toby wasn't wearing his wedding ring in the future scene that we saw.
Right.
So it's just kind of interesting.
The other one was... Go watch your show. Hi. The other one was... I liked the... did you see the most recent episode?
Yeah.
I liked how they built up... Can Randall really play golf or not?
Yeah.
It had me guessing back and forth the whole episode. I was like, oh, maybe... Because at first I told Samantha, I go, he's just messing with him. I think he really can play. He's being nice. And then after watching him play and stuff, I was like, oh, man, maybe he really can't play. Because he said he's only played once with his dad or whatever. And then by the end, I was like, he can play.
And then he just sits there and drains it into the pond, and it's just like,
Yeah.
yep. See, I kind of was thinking like, oh, well, how else do you have that connection onto the golf course?
That's what Samantha said. She goes, he's good, Cory. I'm like, what? How do you know that? She goes, because how does he have a connection to such a good country club?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh.
It was an interesting build-up, and it looks like it's going to continue over onto next week's with Deja. I always like how they advertise like the next episode as the most dramatic episode ever. Shut up.
I'm finally watching Stranger Things, so.
Oh, Jesus. Uh-huh.
After 2 episodes, Samantha did say that she already likes it better than season 2.
All right.
Already.
We'll
You
see.
said you thought it was better, right?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how you feel about it at the end of the season. Won't give spoilers, but I can finally do my book it. I think, 'cause I think Stefan said he finally watched it too. Actually, I think I may have asked him, but I'll throw it back in when I'm more prepared with book it. I'll bring book it back next week.
Oh yeah, you said Joker was good, right?
Yeah, Joker was good.
I still haven't seen that yet. I got to do that.
Started the new season of Jack Ryan last night. That was pretty good. Called the First Death. That was funny. Because I've always been a fan of like Tom Clancy games and Tom Clancy books, so I kind of know where the story's going.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't obviously know exactly. And I was just like, oh, he's dead. And it turned out he was. Not Jack Ryan, of course. But did you see season 1 at all of Jack Ryan?
No, I did not.
That's Amazon.
Is it on
too.
Amazon or Hulu?
Amazon.
Okay, because we just canceled Hulu, but we have Amazon.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about seeing Mrs. Maisel, which I believe comes back. Someone told me. Let me double check. That
Yeah,
comes
I like
back.
Miss Maisel a lot.
Miss Maisel. Does that come back this month? I think there's a new season this month. I was heard maybe. So that'd be exciting. It's kind of interesting because I never made the connection until like IMDb, of course. December 6th it comes back. All right, so we got another month. Mrs. Maisel's in House of Cards. She's the one that gets the senator in trouble. Or House. Yeah. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
All right.
Gotta put these kids to bed. That's about it.
Well, I don't care if this gets us pulled from YouTube, but never mind. We'll keep it clean, keep it classy.
Ugh.
I was gonna play a song, but I was like, next week we'll see if Stefan can do this Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah, because I have Monday, Tuesday off, so hopefully he can.
Oh yeah. And the college basketball season starts Tuesday, so it's all meant to be.
That'll be an interesting episode if he can then.
Yeah. First game is at 7:30. I think I just saw on ESPN. So, of course, that's the Champions Classic with all the Duke, Kansas, Michigan State, and Kentucky. I don't know who's playing who this year, but those 4. And then Syracuse plays the next night. I think Gonzaga plays the night after, and I know North Carolina is the first game on November 6th. So maybe we'll throw that game. I'm struggling to find a 5th game, so maybe we'll throw that on there. Unless you guys,
I've been doing college football, so I'm gonna let you take over basketball.
I mean, I am the reigning, defending 2-time champ. So, I mean,
I'm not a 2-timer, but I am the reigning.
If you guys want, I just threw some games and you can throw some more on if you want. I don't know how many games we're gonna do. I'm leaving it at 5. So I'll find one more.
I don't mind just doing 5. I don't need more than that.
Stefan sometimes likes to add more just based. Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about the
Throws in
preseason
8, 9,
tournaments.
10.
Stefan's gotta get to work on that. I think he saved it. He
Maybe
better-
we all pick 5. We do 15 every week.
Yeah. Have like SMU versus Texas Southern American
And
Academy.
I'll just take Nebraska every week.
All right.
See
Until
how that
next
stuff
time.
works.